In 2009, I met a guy named Pelle. He was from Sweden, and he was here on just kind of like a summer vacation, just to sort of spend some time in the U.S. He was a pretty extraordinary character. He was very, very artistic, very open-minded and tolerant and creative. We fell in love and had a relationship, and it was the most significant relationship of my life. In 2010, I decided I was going to spend 6 months in Sweden. I landed in Landvetter in Gothenburg, and I didn't see him. All of a sudden, this girl runs up to me, and she said, "Oh, are you Pelle's friend?" And she's holding this huge sign that had his full name, which was Per Nordquist, on it, but everybody called him Pelle. And I said, "Yeah," and her father came over, and it was like the most surreal thing that's ever happened to me in my life. He takes my hand and he looks at me, and he gets this look on his face, and his English isn't very good. So he was holding my hand, and all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, what happened? And they told me he'd been murdered, and it happened while I was in the air. Sorry, just a second. Fuck. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's been a long time since I don't get upset about this anymore, really, but like when I really have to dig deep and think about it, it's hard. They told me that he had been killed while I was in the air. He was attacked by a gang of teenage thugs at an ATM machine. They stabbed him a bunch of times, and then he was with two friends, and they all ran off from the ATM. And then they tackled him to the ground and stabbed him again. It was just a hate crime. They thought he was gay because he was very flamboyant, and he was kind of a rock and roller, so he used to wear eyeliner sometimes. And the ringleader of the gang basically said in court in the papers that Swedish men shouldn't wear makeup, and basically called him all kinds of homosexual slurs, and none of which were true. And even if there were, who cares? He was just so full of hate. The whole thing was so surreal, and so it's indescribable. Like I talk about it, and it feels like I'm talking about somebody else's life. When somebody that close to you dies, I don't think you ever get over it. You just learn to live with it. So I learned out of all of this that if you don't take care of yourself, nobody else is going to. I mean, people try it and they'll do their best, but everybody has lives and they need to get on with stuff. Going to therapists almost every day was crucial for me to sort of heal through this and process it. I got to the point where I thought, I need to get back to something that really fulfills me and makes me happy. So I bought a horse. Horses have always been a healing thing for me. We're good. When I think about Generation X, there's a lot of apathy and taking things for granted. We have the luxury of being activists from our armchairs, but I would very much like for us to be much more feet on the ground and actually emulating the baby boomers, because they got shit done. The millennials grew up with the internet. They're always on social media. They're always taking movies of themselves. They document absolutely everything. I'm pretty private. I don't post a lot of public stuff about myself online. I feel like social media is both a blessing and a curse. It's created things like the opportunity for the Arab Spring and stuff for people to communicate around the world in seconds. But at the same time, Facebook is capable of reducing adults to children in a split second as well. So there's a responsibility that comes with that. I've always been a really upbeat person, and even if I get dealt a serious blow, it's a bump in the road. I had a lot of moments after Pelle was killed where I just thought that an iron gate had smashed down on my yellow brick road, and that was it. I was done. You can either let these horrible things, bog you down and blame the world for your problems, or you can choose to be happy and make the best of what you have. And I have chosen to be happy and make the best of what I have. I'm not taking my happiness for granted. I'm not taking anything for granted.